The world of internet advice can be confusing, to say the least. You just want a life that is aligned with your dreams, that you enjoy living, but the messages out there can feel contradictory. There are messages of hustling hard, putting in the work, optimizing your productivity for peak performance so that you could reach your full potential. And then there are the messages about slowing down, overcoming burnout, embracing self-care, setting boundaries, entering your soft life era, if you will. It can be really overwhelming and leave you wondering how the heck you're supposed to achieve those goals and dreams that you truly want, while also not falling victim to toxic productivity and hustle culture. I'll admit it can be a fine line to walk, but this video is here to help. A key piece of being able to find this balance, and what has personally really helped me ditch the hustle while still maintaining my hardworking and motivated energy, is understanding that hustle and hard work are not the same thing. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that you either have to be this boss babe or this soft life girly, when the truth is there is a whole spectrum between these two different lifestyles that you can find your place in. It's about asking yourself which piece of each of these lifestyles or of these kind of stereotype personas do I want to keep, and which pieces am I going to actively let go of. When we ask this question and actually follow through on it, not only do we strike a balance that actually works for us, but we are also customizing our life to ourselves rather than copying and pasting a lifestyle that we saw online somewhere. So if we're going to distinguish between hustle and hard work, let's start by talking about what hustle is. Obviously, different individuals have different personal definitions, but when I think of hustle and when we think of toxic hustle culture as a whole, it usually brings up images of working around the clock and trying to squeeze as much as possible into every day. It's the I don't have time, I'll sleep when I'm dead mentality. Hustle really pushes us to work just for the sake of working, and because work is often never ending, you never stop working. Now, the exception to that last piece, of course, is when you hit burnout and have no choice but to slow down. As the saying goes, if you don't pick a day to rest, your body will pick it for you. So how do we maintain the hardworking piece of this idea without the harmful consequences? I think it's about clarifying what healthy productivity and hard work actually looks like in contrast to this hustle culture. Instead of working ridiculous hours, it's about making the most out of the hours that you do work. We do that by staying focused while we work and working towards the things that are actually important. It's having an understanding that we do our best work when we're properly rested. And instead of just working for the sake of working, we have a clear goal in mind. And yes, the work will still often feel never ending. There's always going to be something else to do, but when we're embracing healthy productivity, we know how to set those boundaries to prevent ourselves from going overboard. I think it's important to note that at the end of the day, only you know your limits. Only you could know if and when your mind, body, and soul need a break. No one else can tell you that. That's about your own self-awareness. And that's also why my version of hard work and your version of what hard work looks like could be different. Not only that, but your version of hard work today is probably going to look different from your version of hard work in 3 days or next week or next month, especially if you are someone with a period and hormonal cycle that fluctuates throughout the month. It can even vary month to month, season to season, whether that's literal seasons changing or seasons of life and what you're going through. The corporate world will have us believe that none of those things should affect our work, but just because we're supposed to pretend like they don't, it doesn't mean they actually don't. So let's stop pretending, at least with ourselves. On that note, let's dive deeper into the difference between hustle and hard work and where it stems from, how it feels. Because even if we know what our physical actions look like when we're operating from each of these spaces, those actions are ideally not just actions, but reflections of how we feel from the inside. Are you finding the motivation to work out of a sense of fear or out of a sense of excitement? Do you have a sense of insecurity and scarcity when you're working? Or do you work from a place of confidence and abundance? There's often a sense of lacking a little bit of self-love when we're in hustle. So can we switch into embracing more self-love? When we're hustling, there's often a lot of external pressure versus what we really want, which is this internal drive. When we're hustling, we can feel overwhelmed and scattered with all of these unclear priorities and not knowing where to start, as opposed to what we want, which is to have focused attention. It's about going from feeling time poor to actually taking accountability for your time and using it the way you want to use it. So as you can tell, there's this qualitative difference between what it feels like to be hustling versus actually just working hard towards something you love and care about. So next time you find yourself questioning if you have been leaning a little too hard into the hustle mentality, come back to these points, evaluate how you feel on each of them, where you're at, and then remind yourself what those internal feelings of hard work and healthy productivity feel like instead. The interesting thing about hard work is that it's also kind of difficult to do when you're not properly rested, when your energy is depleted, or when you haven't been prioritizing the things that make you feel replenished. It's hard to feel excited, abundant, and focused in that state. So if you're struggling with self-care, I would recommend checking out this video here that I have about balancing productivity and self-care. That would be a great follow-up to this video to really understand and embrace this concept even more. That's all for today, short and sweet. Thank you so much for watching. As always, if you like this video, make sure to give it a like and subscribe, and I will see you again next week. Bye.